Hi there, it's Colette from the Sacred Rose Temple. So, just having a few messages off some of my clients about the way they're feeling at the moment, and just wanted to do a live with regards to that because it's been churning over for me over the last few days when dealing with people. The conjunction came and it's left everybody a little bit, maybe deflated or feeling, well, what was all that about? Well, the Great Conjunction is a reset, and the reset has been misportrayed in our media, really. I've been seeing a lot of like the spiritual community posting things about it being like the golden age and the new human, and of course it is the turnabout for that, but it isn't that happens over 3 days and there's a magic wand and we're all, crystalline, enlightened, divine beings. The Great Descent that we're about to go further into is part of the Kali Yuga. It's part of Great Descent into the Dark Mother, and it is encompassed and it is always been laid out by the great masters. This has all been predicted and wrote about, that it would be a great time of suffering and a time of darkness of the human psyche, and a time that we would all have to really readdress and look at our shadow. So, this is going to be a difficult time. 2021 is going to be difficult. We're going to see more of what we've seen in 2020, but it's going to be more compressing and it's going to be even more difficult than this year has been. And it's really dangerous to set people up for believing that 2021 is going to be anything but more of what we've had this year, but even at a deeper level. So it's really important that you get ready spiritually, physically, emotionally for another difficult year. Suffering that we are going to go through on many different levels for different people is part of the spiritual journey, and suffering allows us to take more space for gratitude. It allows us to become more basic in our needs and desires, and suffering allows us to heal. It really does. So it's not a big doom and gloom scenario in that, it's going to be like totally soul destroying for us. Well, it is, but it's going to be different for us all, is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be very unique for all of us. So go with what you're feeling. Do not try to adjust your feelings to fit in with like the mainstream concept out there. We're going to see all of these teachers talking about wealth and abundance and joy and all of those things being taken off those thrones. We're going to see that. I guarantee you this year, those that have been teaching about material matter and about the woo woo and the disconnected spirituality that isn't really addressing our needs on this planet, what's going on this planet, and how our shadow needs to change from acquiring wealth and acquiring matter. It's all going to fall. So stay clear of feeling that you're not in abundance because you're not making a lot of money, or you're not in abundance because you don't have 5,000 million clients coming to do your work. Be connected to the abundance that lives within you, the abundance that comes when you connect to the God, to the divine, when you give and feel thanks for the basic things like food, water, freedom. This is all that's happening in our collective at the moment. We are being shown what really matters. What does abundance really look like? Well, that's being able to you visit your friends at Christmas time. That's being able to travel where you want to travel without restrictions. So we're going to get and keep getting completely compressed until we realize what the true nature of abundance and spirituality and being a spiritual person is about. And it's not about things, it's not about followers, it's not about money. The traps that are out there at the moment, and I'm seeing them escalating, and those algorithms, I've shared them in one of my articles, becoming more obvious. So look out the repetition, look for the repetition of the kind of things that are selling in the spiritual arena, and stay out of those big sells because it's a trap. It's a trap. So what should you be doing? Well, you should be doing your inner work. You really should be starting to try to venture into the shadow self and feel, if this world is such a big mess, how have I contributed to that? And I've been teaching my students to do this, and in a way that doesn't involve self punishment. We have to treat ourselves with the inner child, basically making a realization and owning it and accepting it. And that doesn't include to punish the self or to really make yourself feel bad to the point that you become depressed, but it is to realize that you've been partaking in some of the darker things in this world, and that you want to change that, and you emote it, you feel the sadness and you feel the grief or whatever's behind that, and then you begin to take actions upon that. Energy is much more potent if you give it to releasing the emotion from your body, and you then give it to taking action against the initial behavior that you might feel shame or guilt for in the first place. So that's going to be key, is taking action and really feeling those places that you've partaken that have contributed to the current state that we're in. And that's going to be happening all of next year. All of next year is about you, and it's for some people and painful for some people who are just getting this, that the great descent is about the descension of us all as human beings, so that we de-evolve, that we start to look at ourselves and say, where have we bought in and paid for and been part of the stuff that has ruined this planet, and working through that's key. The other key thing that will be really apparent this year is those that are doing shadow work. And I wanted to say something about shadow work. It's something I've been doing for many years now, and my own shadow got me into a situation where I was with my own ego and all my faults, all that I still carry. Got me into a really tricky spiritual situation with a teacher, and that began me thinking, how did I get here? How did this happen to me? And it took me to take ownership for being in that situation. And that's when I met my first shadow worker, and so started to work with a shadow analyst. The shadow can be done on yourself. You can start to inquire into your own shadow with very simple methods and simple exercises. But the depth of the shadow is done by somebody who has deep, deep work with, my shadow analysis at the minute has 25 years working with Jungian shadow analysis. It's a psychology, and a psychology is human behavior. Humans, we operate from a subconscious, your wounds and from your inner child. And it's really enlightening work, shadow work. But there's a lot of this word being bandied around at the moment, and it really upsets me because it makes light of what it is. Shadow work is like the subconscious. It's the stuff that you do not realize you are doing, or how you are unable to see how you behave. And the reason you can't see it is because the ego guards it. The ego is the biggest guard of these subconscious behaviors. When they're pointed out to you by somebody who's qualified, so somebody who has been doing work with their shadow too, and has some concept and understanding of the works, not of just thinks they've made it up themselves and they know what shadow work is, have the ability to be able to like deconstruct your whole psyche and the way you operate, and give you really sound advice, and is strong enough to say, no, it's you, like how do you own that and how do you work through it. And that's going to be key for this year. So finding somebody, a teacher who is educated in shadow work, who knows all the methodology and can support you on your journey to seeing your shadow behavior and debunk it. Do not take shadow advice off people who do not work in a professional manner with their own shadow, because I'm also seeing that a lot of people professing to know what shadow is, yet they've not even read about the concept. So that, I always relate this to somebody who says, training matters. It really does. Certification doesn't. It's not about whether you hold a certificate, but it's about you can be taught a language, or somebody who has a language within them. So I'm in France, for example, and I could go to a French teacher who has studied French, who has read about French, who has learned French. She can teach me French, but I can't learn French off someone who doesn't speak French, who hasn't studied it or learnt it. The same if I'm going to be a world runner. I can't be a world class runner if I don't get taught by a world class trainer. So it's the same thing, that the people that you work with in the next year are going to be really important, really important. Do they strong, solid integrity? Does the outside world reflect what they're saying about themselves, the love around and the strength of their relationships? All of that is that exactly what they're preaching because they've attained it. So be careful who you get advice off, because there's going to be a lot of like shadow advice almost, let's call it that. So shadow work and being aware of your own darkness is key to get us all through 2021. A light and golden light comes through when we work with our shadow. We get golden tickets when we work through big shadow pieces. And you can tell the golden work when somebody brings into manifestation, into their reality, something that has been dark and sour before, or wounded, or not right. And it comes gold and it comes good. So that's the key to seeing that gold and the true light that's coming in, not just people speaking about crystalline bodies and 5D and all of these things, which are a big trap in our collective at the moment. So be aware of that. The next thing I wanted to talk about really was something that I was speaking to my partner about on the conjunction. We decided to sit and like brainstorm what it was we were thinking we were going to become in 2021. What was our vision about ourselves, and what was our goal, and what were the shadow aspects that we want to work on as people? And we sat for a long time thinking about this, and obviously it didn't come very easy. It's hard to just sit there and say, okay, this has got to change and this is who I want to be. There needs to be a strategy, and for some people it's very confusing to do that. So I sat there pondering upon my own evolution for 2021, and was hit straight away from my meditation about teaching something called the Revolutionary Rose, which I'm going to be teaching in January. And it's to go on a journey together to start to ask, what is 2021 asking of you? What's it asking you to do? Who's it asking you to be? How do you bring the new human blueprint in that our time demands? And how do you bring all of your powers, your talents, and your uniqueness? Because that's key. Our uniqueness is key to become a revolutionary force on this planet. We need a revolution on this planet in all the structures, in our own internal self, and on the way we are as human beings. So this revolution needs to start to be stimulated with inside your own body. Now I work with somatic practice, therapeutic practice. I also work with clairvoyance and empowering guidance. So I decided to do a 4-week course on this. And basically I'll be doing 4 live transmissions. There will be meditations given to you at the beginning of every week that will compound and compress the sacred transmission that I do with you, and give you a plan of action to start to work on for 2021. There'll be a forum where obviously you'll be able to discuss these things with other people in the group. So for me, it was really important to have this container open where people can start to really, really focus on what it is to become new in 2021. How does the new human encode itself in you? So we'll be looking at week 1 at the new human, and we'll be looking at the evolution of humanity and the ancestral DNA that's trying to evolve in us at the minute. We're all carrying our ancestors' DNA, And written in that DNA is all the woundings and all the imprints and all the lessons that the ancestors before us have gone through. And we are at the evolutionary point now of changing it. And that doesn't need, all these old age concepts of like past life regression and going back. We do not need to go back. That's old teaching. We need to come into the now. Everything atomizes in us, in our cellular level now. The epigenetics, the actually genodes in your body are carrying all the information from the past. They do not need the story. What they need is to be released, to be felt, and to be healed in this life, because whatever you were in the past is right here, right now. You don't need to go backwards. You need to open up that on a cellular level and release it now. So we'll be doing that in week 1. Week 2, we're going to be looking at what holds you back. What wounds are going on with you that are holding you back? Now, you might already think you know this, but this is what I get when I go to my shadow worker or to my teacher is, no, this is what I see about you, and that's the role I will be taking in the group. What is it I see about you that needs to be changed because it's holding you back? And what shadow aspects of yourself do you not see because you can't, that hold you back? And we'll be looking at a practice that allows you to identify, work with, and bring them forward so that they can be healed too. Week 3, we'll be looking at your gift. So, we all hold all of our gifts and all of our spirituality and all of our uniqueness within inside this vessel now in this life. So we'll be looking at what those gifts are, how we bring the gifts forward, and how these gifts will transform our lives. And once the gifts come through, there'll be a practice of how to embody them. How do we embody the gifts? How do we bring them into our everyday life, or even into our purpose, our work purpose? So then week 4, we go into the revolution is you. And this is unleashing the revolutionary inside of you, the archetype that is revolutionary, that is about bringing a plan together. How do I bring a plan together for my life within the next 12 months or however short-term period we're looking at, that can be of service to me and for others on this planet? And this will really, really be of interest to those of you who feel that you have a divine sacred purpose that wants to be activated over the next couple of years. So we'll be looking at how to enter into that role now and how to encompass that in your everyday life and in your earning as well. So whatever job you've got now, how this will all begin to merge so that you can be of service. 2021, for those who really do the deeper, darker work, who stay very, very strict within their own boundaries and a deep devotional practice every day. I do a practice every day, and all my clients in my groups, they are in devotional practice. That's meditation or a sacred practice every day. And that's what it takes to become a revolutionary and a leader and someone who transforms themselves and other people. I'm going to be really asking people to step into this role, and the whole course that we do, whether that feels like you want to teach that to other people as well. I'm happy for people who feel that revolutionary coming through, that teacher coming through, to take this course and to work with others with it too. So yes, it's going to be a great 4 weeks, a really expansive 4 weeks. And for me, a 4 weeks that a lot of people who are sat here thinking, holy moly, this is crazy, what's going on? And I know that 2021 is about me being a new person, entering this Aquarius age, this golden age. But what does that even mean? And how do I even begin to look in there to access my divine revolutionary power to become really, really of service and in tune with the times that lie ahead of us? So if you're interested, you can find some links at the bottom of this for the course shortly. And obviously, anybody who's got any questions, just send them through. I'm happy to answer questions in these really trying times. If you're not already following me on MeWe and Facebook, I'm on there, and the details will also be below. And I'm open for one-to-one sessions, less now than I've ever been doing, because I'm trying to, like, spend a lot of time on my own self work. But if you really feel the call to do some one-to-one work with me, then I am available at a bit more of a lesser period, for a lesser period. So good luck to you all over the next coming week. We've got a week of like celebration and trying to just enjoy some Christmas time with our family. And then lo and behold, we'll be catapulted into 2021 with some new astrological energies as well at the very beginning, and then time to step into the divine blueprint, whatever that means for you. So thanks for joining me or watching the video, and I'll speak to you all shortly again from the Rose Temple. Lots of love.